Yo, 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 what it do? It's your guy TJ with the scar.
The one and only one credit guy. We in the building.
And this is child support fraud.
Yes.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Looking good, man. How's everything, brother?
I'm doing good. You know, I'm slimming down a little bit.
I see.
Put my sweater on this
I
morning. I'm
see.
like, hey, I bought a new sweater for the first time, so I put it on. It was a little baggy, but you know,
Okay.
hey,
So you doing something new for what was that, your New Year's resolution this year?
never said New Year's resolution, but I just haven't I haven't ate meat since this year.
Oh, congrats, man. That's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I only really ate chicken, so I never really did like the beef and
the porks and
yeah,
the
so it
fish
was
and the shrimps and
yeah,
all the other the meats.
Yeah.
Well, that's good, man. Looking slim. You trying to get like me? I mean, this is like 10 years of child support stress.
man. Hey, that stress it's a cold game. Like first and foremost, you guys know us. If you don't know, we run the platform childsupportersfraud.com. This is anything that comes out of our mouths, anything that's said on this platform. It is not legal advice.
Right.
It's our experiences dealing with this fraudulent child support system.
Absolutely.
And from the beginning to the end, the whole purpose of this platform is to just have a conversation
Right.
based on people's
Education.
perception of
Yeah.
what child support is. And by the time that they're experience us,
Right.
they'll know what child support is not.
Exactly. And that's the whole purpose of us bringing this information to the forefront, you know what I'm saying, to not only share our experiences with this so-called thing called child support, is to kind of give them some type of encouragement that, if we can get good results based off of our knowledge and information, then, hopefully we can help somebody out and they can go ahead and research, look up the information. It's vital.
Yeah.
So look, tell me about, I see that we call it child support is fraud. This one is called Is Child Support is Fraud.
Yeah, so that's the whole purpose of this show. We run the Instagram page and the website Child Support is Fraud, but for this show, we wanted to just broaden it. Is child support fraud? So throughout the process, we'll have on guests, and whether they're pro or cons to the child support system. And by the end, we'll just have the conversation. Is child support fraud? We'll go through the facts.
Right,
We'll go through the laws.
right.
And
Okay.
then, it.
And just basically break it down.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, at the end of the day, what made you, how did this process even start with you?
For me, that's a good question. So my process started way back when. For those that don't know, let me just get this out the way. I am the author of How I Stopped Child Support Legally. The book was published December 23rd, 2022, and it's been doing great. My experience with child support, it goes back to just nothing pleasant.
Right.
No,
I don't think I think everybody can kind of agree with that.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter where you start. It is not going to be a pleasant experience.
It is nothing pleasant. Like the other day, someone, an attorney, Jasmine, I can't even think of her last name, but she asked me, like on Instagram, she was like, so, like, what is your issue overall and personally
With child support?
With child support.
Yeah.
She like someone, one of her clients referred her to the page.
Okay.
And she was like, I'm just checking it out, and I see some of the things you say. I haven't had a chance to dive in, but like, what's your overall?
What's your problem with
Yeah,
child support?
what's going on?
Do you really want to know that? Do you really want to know?
Right. So for me, my response was my overall
Right.
issue with child support is a marketing strategy. Challenging child support does not equate to not taking care of your children.
Well, I'm gonna stick right there with that point.
Okay.
Why do you think people feel that when you say child support, you like, man, you basically don't want to support your kids? Like, isn't that the whole point of child support?
It's great marketing because when you think child support,
Right?
you like, yeah, why don't you want to take care of your kids? And you're like, well, I never said that. When did I ever show me where
Right.
I said me challenging child support services? Because it's a business, services, they provide a service.
Services.
So how does that equate to not taking care of your kids? But my thing was, I expressed to her that there was a situation where I was at my grandmother's house, and you know the story.
Yeah.
Insurance man came by. He comes by every month. We're sitting on my grandmother's plastic couch, and I asked him, I said, hey, like, why do they call it life insurance when you only use it after you're dead?
Right.
And his
Right.
answer was, death insurance is not marketable.
Wow.
And I'm like, what?
So-
Like, immediately it was like
You like-
mind blown. It's like, oh, like the clouds opened, everything, and
They switched it up.
they switched it up. And that's the same thing that the states have done with child support. When it should be called state support.
State support or Title
4D.
D support.
Title 4D is the proper term for child
What we call
support.
child support.
Title 4D is a government incentivized program to where they incentivize states $500 million annually in incentives. That's bonuses for the people that don't know what incentives mean.
Right.
They incentivize them $500 million annually to collect child support, to establish paternity, and to put people on child support. And they do it unlawfully. It's unconstitutional. These are not my words. This comes from the United States Supreme Court, who ruled that child support, the practices that they use, is unconstitutional.
Right.
So this is what I explained to her based on the fact that how they are incentivized. How
To put you
on child
in the
support.
system. So how could it be a fair situation?
Of course.
In the scheme of things, if everybody's in on the fix, and that's what I call it.
Right, because so there's something called due process. Due process comes from the United States Constitution, which says no United States citizen shall be deprived of their life, liberty, that's freedom, or property without the due process of law.
Right.
So, and it also says with due process, you have the right to be heard and you have a right to a fair trial. So, this was my question to her. If the states receive incentives, if they receive bonuses to put people on child support, how can you receive a fair trial in a state court where they're incentivized to put you on
into
child
the
support?
system? I mean, it's a conflict of interest if you really look at it, right? I mean, damn, like it's one pocket paying the other pocket, so to speak, right?
Right.
And they need you to pay off the debt, right? I mean, hey,
No,
so
yeah.
okay, so I mean, we kind of getting to where the meat and the potatoes of this stuff, right?
Okay.
No pun intended, because I know you.
Right.
But so, how did you? I guess, legally stop child support? What was the part when you started to discover that, look, something ain't right? This shit don't, because you got to think about it. We're talking about child support and the way they market child support as it's something that, hey, everybody, this is, about your children.
Right.
But we kind of discovered that Supreme Court
Right.
ruled against that and said, no, it was never intended to benefit the child nor the parents, right? So,
This is Blessing versus Freestone. That's what you're talking about.
okay, that's
Blessing versus Freestone.
exactly what I'm
It's
talking
a
about.
United States case law that's where the Supreme Court ruled that child support was never intended to benefit the individual child or custodial parents. And that's plural with the S. That means either parent.
Right.
So that's the whole, for me, discovering, just doing research. I knew something wasn't right.
Right.
In my personal situation, so to answer her second part of the question was, what's your issue personally? So for me personally, how I came into child support, I found out about the child support case 7 years after it was open.
Wow. Okay.
Right.
Wow.
7 years after it's open, I get, I'm in the streets, I'm doing my thing, and I get I get a job, I'm working. On payday, HR comes to me and say, "Hey, Mr. Tillman, we'd like to speak to you." I'm like, "What's going on?" It's like, "Well, we got a notice from child support saying that we got an
Get
income
that
withholding
money.
order saying that, your wages
Right.
is going to be garnished effective immediately."
Right.
And I'm like, "Yo,
Wow.
what do you mean?" They're like, "From child support." I'm like, "Child support? What the hell you mean? What the fuck you mean child support?" So that's how I came into that whole situation. And, of course, I contacted them and they told me, "Well, your response is untimely. You had 6 months to respond. It's been 7 years." I'm like, "What the fuck? Like, what do you mean?" It's like, "Yeah, there's nothing that can be done." And this was the false information that I received for many years to follow. And during that process, license suspension, freeze on passports, income withholding orders, bank levies, the whole shebang, lien on name, all of this proceeded on for another 13 years. And
Okay.
during that process, every time they misrepresented facts and saying that there's nothing that can be done. Now, so they're taking the money from me monthly. And on top of that, I'm paying them an additional $50 to keep my driver's license. And every year, my license is getting suspended for a system error.
Okay.
So this went on for like 13 years. And it was just, I was fed up. I was fed up to where it happened again. 13 years, system
Right.
error happened. And I'm
Right.
on the phone with the lady and I'm like, "Yo, man, why I'm paying y'all an additional $50 a month? Why does this keep happening every year?
And they like, just pay your child support.
Just pay your child support." And I said something to the degree of like, "Man, I don't even know why this is, because this is fraud." And she like, "Fraud?" Like, "What do you mean fraud?" Like,
What you mean?
"We served you." And I'm like, "Wait, you served me?" She like, "Yeah, we served you." I'm like, "So you got my signature?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Okay, well, tell me what day that I signed this."
Was that the part I always say, "Ha ha, taste the soup.
Aha,
Taste the soup.
taste the soup.
Taste the soup."
Right, yeah, that was that moment.
Okay, that was
And
the
so-
aha moment.
She placed me on hold. She come back. She says, "I'm sorry, Mr. Tillman. We don't have your signature." What the fuck? I know you don't have my signature because I was with me every day of my life. I know
Right.
you didn't serve me.
Right.
And she was like, "Well, that don't matter anyway because you volunteered to participate in the program." I did what?
I did what?
What do you mean I volunteered to participate in this program? She said, "Yeah, we got your signature."
Oh. Okay.
Wait,
Uh-oh.
you got my signature? She
Oh,
said,
okay.
"Yes." I said, "Okay, well, tell me what day I volunteered to participate in this program." She placed me on hold again. I'm waiting. You're not going to believe what happened.
I mean, she placed you on hold after you told her straight up, like, "Okay, well, just tell me what day I got this. Y'all got this signature from me."
She comes back and say, "I'm sorry, Mr. Tillman. We do not have your signature." It was like Maury.
It was like Maury, like, you were not the father. So, I
do-
mean, at that point, did they just stop it then? They're like, "Oh, shit, we
No.
actually don't have your signature, so let's go ahead and close this out?
No.
What did they continue to proceed to do? What?
At this point, I'm going crazy on the phone. I need to speak to a manager, supervisor. I need to speak to the president. I'm going ballistic on her.
Right.
They give me to the Unbuzz department. Unbuzz is they're supposed to police the Child Support Administration, but they're all involved. So nothing happened. That went on for about a few months to a year. Me doing my research, because now I know that they didn't serve me.
Right,
So
right.
I'm in research heavy. Now, mind you, at this time it's like 2015 moving into 2016. So let me just say this. I found out about the case in 2003.
2003?
Yeah, it originated in 1996. So now from 2003 to
For what year? 96?
it started in 96. From
Damn.
2003 to 2016, they're feeding me this false thing that nothing can happen.
No, that sounds like them.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right.
I'm at this point. I'm engaged.
Uh-huh.
I'm about to get married.
Okay.
Apply for a passport because we're going out of the country for a honeymoon.
You already know what they do with the passport.
Come
So
on, man.
you found out the hard way.
What he said: if you fuck around, you're gonna find out.
Right. So after you found out that your passport, you already did you pay for the
Of course, I paid for the passport.
you pay for everything.
You
No,
gotta
not the passport. I'm talking about
yes.
vacation thing.
Yeah, we paid to go to Punta Cana
Oh.
for a honeymoon.
But you couldn't go.
I couldn't, bro. I'm waiting. The passport comes back. I'm like, oh shit, my passport came. Open it up.
The passport had to come. I mean, what you thought it was going to be a card? Because I know it came in a little envelope.
No, it was a big manila envelope.
Damn.
Big manila. It got
So-
my birth certificate and everything in there. It's like we sending you your shit back.
Okay, so they need the original copies, and they were sending it back. But you thinking, okay, it's from
The
the passport
passport.
people, so my passport is inside of here.
It's a letter in there that says your passport has been denied. Your application for a passport has been denied due to back pay child support. So at this point, I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like, mine is blown. Like, yo, we spent our money. I think it was like $3,800
I was
to
going
go
to
to
say that
Punta
was a
Cana.
lot of money to be spending.
for a honeymoon. So
And did you? I mean, you got to get a refund or something.
ain't no refunds.
Oh, fuck that.
Now I have to go tell my fiance that
That
our money that we paid to Punta Cana, we ain't going. Well, I can't go. You can go, but
you
I
can
can't
go,
go.
but I can't go.
Oh,
So,
she's hot.
of course, I mean, I would too. After
She's hot.
$3,800, I mean, shit, I'd be pissed off too.
You need to fix this shit. You need to fix it. And
I mean, that just kind of basically at that point, that kind of led you into this book.
that put the battery in my back. The fact that I was already digging, and because I knew I didn't get served,
Right.
from that point it was just like, I dived in, and from that point I gathered all the information based on their policy as to how they are supposed to open these cases. And that's where I just dug in and I gathered all my information, and I ultimately took them to court
Right.
and represented myself in
And
a 2-year hearing.
I mean, 2 years. 2
Yeah,
years,
it took
24
me-
months.
yeah, it took me 2
So,
years.
and that's after you discovered the discrepancy inside of the documents.
Inside of the documents. Yeah. So when what I discovered was when child support open these cases, they have a policy that they has to follow.
Right.
There are certain documents that they must file in order to establish paternity. And based on their procedures, once I found out what they did, I went to the clerk's office at the court where the case was held, I obtained those documents, and there I was able to compare the two. This is your policy. What did you do? And they didn't line up.
Okay.
So from that point, I knew that I had them. So I took them to court. I challenged jurisdiction, and it was a 12-round, 2-year heavyweight battle.
It was a battle.
Yeah.
To unravel that. But what's important, I want the people to take away is that I understand that through your process, you had to discover all this stuff during your process, right? You finally got the ultimate result, which is unraveling everything. So doing your research, trial and error, I know you didn't, child support looked at it like, was they trying to help you?
Of course not.
They wasn't trying to help you at all.
No, of course not. So during the process, I discovered that I already knew that they didn't serve me. But during that discovery point, I found out not only did they not serve me, they said that they allegedly served me at a house which I later proved was vacant.
Right. So, I mean, I want to touch on that part.
Right.
Because it's a lot in this book. I'm saying, like, it kind of gives a detailed introduction, illustrated process of how you actually unraveled and discovered the fraud.
Right.
Right. And this book illustrates that
Of
to
course.
the T.
Yeah.
And for the people that don't know, illustration for me, and I'm pretty sure for most of y'all, is one of the greatest forms of I want to say educating yourself, but also retaining information.
Yeah, because it's not just words. You're not just reading. Like in this book, you have actual documents. You
right.
have my actual documents that I filed
Right.
in my hearing from beginning to end. You have everything that I filed in this book from beginning to end.
Okay, so I got the $1 zillion question is this. All right, you discovered that, you found that. That's you. Is this something that the viewers and the people, is it something that they go through, or is it something that was more like an isolated situation?
And that's what they tried to prove in the hearing, because once I provided this evidence that they allegedly served me at a vacant house, and how I proved that, I actually subpoenaed the owner of the home, who was the owner of the home. So she came and testified that once me and my grandmother moved out, at this time I'm still a minor. So if my grandmother moved, I moved.
Right.
So
Right.
she said, well, after they moved, I didn't have another tenant in here for a whole nother year. In addition to that, I subpoenaed Los Angeles County Department of Water and Power to come testify on my behalf that on this day that they said they allegedly served me, did you have power at this house? They came and testified and said, no, your grandmother discontinued the power months prior, and she started power in a whole nother city. So they once I provided the evidence, they were saying, well, this is just an isolated event. Objection. I presented evidence because at this point now I have a daughter.
Right.
So her mother she was receiving cash aid, so there was another
Right.
case.
Right.
So in that case, they said that they allegedly served me again, and in the description, they put that I was 6'2". Now, you much taller than me, and you like
6'2",
or
yeah.
5'9", 5'10", 5. You ain't 6'2", and I'm only 5'7", bro.
Wow.
So when I provided that evidence, it's like, no, this is just dealing with me. It's not an isolated event. We're talking about a 10-year gap, and
Right.
the same county, same child support administration services is partaking in the same practices.
Right.
But for other people, as on our journey doing this, we found that it's not an isolated event.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, because not only is it the proof of service, it's these documents it says 28 USC 1691 says that all writs coming from a United States court must be under the seal of the court and signed by the clerk thereof. I can guarantee you what the clerk thereof means, the county clerk. So here
Right,
in
right,
California,
right.
we're in LA County, that's in Norwalk, not the court
Right.
down at Stanley Moss or in the courthouse. I can almost guarantee you that any document that came from a child support administration court, it is stamped or signed by a deputy clerk. That is unlawful. There's a Supreme Court case law called Lou Jans versus Defenders of Wildlife, where the Supreme Court ruled that where there's just a deputy clerk signature, that instrument is void due to a lack of a judicial signature.
Judicial. Take note, that word judicial will be popping up a lot.
Yeah.
Because basically through your case and your process, you found a lot of things that was unlawful and
Of
not
course.
judicial. And so, I mean, when you dealing with child support, right? When we dealing with child support, I always advocate to, deal with custody first, custody in a custody hearing, opposed to having a child support hearing.
Why is
Because-
that though?
Because in in custody, you're dealing with allegedly, supposedly in a judicial process, which is in family court.
Okay.
Right? And we've discovered through our process that child support is not in the family court. It's a separate.
They're two different venues,
Separate.
yeah.
Okay, they're two different venues and they're separate. One deal with money and one deal with custody and visitations.
Right.
Right. So I always advocate grab your custody because of why. I say custody is, and you are entitled to that, and you shouldn't ever waive custody.
Right. It's your
Ever.
God-given right to be equal parents
Ever.
with your offspring.
Don't ever waive your custody because, at least in the statute of California, is you're entitled to both custody of your child equally
And you waive them
by not claiming them.
by not claiming them. And,
So-
and
and
they
we-
do it they do it where you don't even know that these rights are even available to you.
Right, because I tell, like, you don't need well, in my case, your case, we didn't have attorneys because we're not attorneys.
We're not attorneys.
Not paralegal, none of that crap.
I couldn't even afford
not
attorney,
crap, my
like
bad,
just
but
just
I'm
keeping
just
it a
saying we're
buck.
not a
I couldn't
party.
afford attorney, so that wasn't even an option for me.
Right, exactly. I mean, look, paralegals, attorneys, they do what they do. Okay, they fill out documents very, very well, but in these settings, we didn't have to use an attorney. We went in there and represented ourselves, and stood on our square,
Of course.
and did what we had to do. But basically reclaiming your custody puts you in a totally different ballpark. And I think I'm gonna bring up custody again because I feel that a lot of people feel like they don't. Like, I don't know, like they don't have custody, they have to ask for, I don't know. It's just a presumption that doesn't really exist. We go to child support first, and that's like, no.
Right.
No.
Right.
No.
So there's joint legal custody, and then there's physical custody. Joint legal custody is bullshit in the eyes of child support. So what that means is,
Absolutely
you
is
guys make decisions on school, health, and custody and things like that.
Right.
Physical custody is when, that's how they charge people, because they're saying one person is a custodial parent, the other person is a non-custodial parent. And they charge the non-custodial parent. You may even have visitation to where one parent may have the kids 4 days out of the week and the other one has 3. It may be even, however, but on paper they have it as one is the primary
Right.
and the other is a non-custodial parent. That's how they're able to charge the other party. But you are it's your God-given right to have equal opportunity with your children. And
Right.
what we did, we used their evidence against them. So
Absolutely.
they say that child support is in the best interest of the child.
They say that all the time.
But isn't it also in the best
We
interest
discovered.
of the child that
Mentally, physically, emotionally.
both it's in the best interest of the child that
Both.
the child spends equal
time with their parents.
with both.
With both. That's vital there. Like
Yeah.
I said, and I seen a comment on one of the on the IG page, and one of the comments was like, "Look, you brothers is not millionaires, and so how is it that y'all regular folks are able to or claim that you did this, but then the celebrity folks or whatever, the people with the big money and big dollars, they don't know nothing about this information."
That was a good question because it's not about the money. It's not.
It's not about the money when
it's
it comes to the information, but it's about the money when it comes to these guys, child support people.
Yeah, it's not about the money. It's about having the information. All we did was follow their own policy. We made them stand on their own policy. That's just brief example. Just say, for instance, someone at a job and you get hired and they make you, but they give you their guidelines. These are our guidelines, and if you want to work here, you sign this contract and said, hey, you agreed to abide by our guidelines, and if you step out of that, there's action for that.
Right.
So what we did was we found child support's guideline, which is published because they have to publish the information.
Absolutely.
They have to publish the information. Google was our best friend. I say it all the time. We are Google scholars. We graduated from YouTube University. They have to publish this information.
Absolutely.
So when you go and you make them stand on their own policy, this is your policy. It says this is what you have to do to open these cases. Did you do it? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Simple. And the attorneys in these high-profile cases, they just about the money. They don't want it to get this over with. All they're going to go in and do is negotiate. Oh, I can get you a lower payment.
A conflict of interest there.
Because they're part of the bar.
Like I said, information is powerful. But information doesn't have any effect if it's not applied. So with the information, doesn't mean that, okay, I'm going to apply this and it's going to work the first time. It may work the 5th time, the 15th time, the 100th time, whatever the case may be. The point is to keep getting the information, keep applying the pressure.
In my case, it took me 2 years.
24 months. That's what I'm saying.
2 years
2
because
years
I didn't
to get
know
out
what
the
I was
situation.
doing, but I know how to comprehend and follow their own policy.
But this is the thing. Your case, and let's keep it clear, for everybody. Your case was dismissed on what?
It was dismissed for fraud, extrinsic fraud. So my case was dismissed for extrinsic fraud.
Because they made a mistake, or because the nature of what they do is in the realm of actual fraud?
No, it wasn't because they made a mistake. It was intentional fraud. They forged someone's signature.
So that's an intent. They forged a signature. They filed a document, and they penalty of perjury. So they lied like 3 or 4 times just on the document itself.
And none of the documents, nothing in my proof of service had the seal of the court. It wasn't signed by the clerk, and also, which was also key in my case, it wasn't signed by an actual judge. It's something called quorum non judice, where it says before a person, not a judge. In order to these cases. So when you go into it, you know this, but when you go into a child support hearing, they give you a document that tells you this person is acting as a temporary judge. Do you consent to have your case heard by this person? And you can have your case heard, but they are not allowed to sign an actual order because they're attorneys. An attorney cannot sign a money judgment.
The public don't know that.
They know that now. An attorney cannot sign a money judgment. So my document was signed by a non-judicial person.
Right.
It didn't have the clerk's signature, so it's lacking judicial signatures all throughout my case file. So my case was dismissed for fraud.
Wow. And that's not an isolated situation because, once again, I discovered it in my documentation, and I discovered it in multiple people documentation.
Right.
Even the current one that I end up,
today
help somebody out. She and female. Yeah, it's not it's female. They were trying to slap her with some crazy amount of money, and she has custody of her own children. Well, this is the thing that I say how pathetic that this system is.
Yeah.
Very pathetic and misleading.
And that's why I say Title 4D is the monster.
Title 4D, and they changed it to be child support. So everybody gets their feelings. Child support. Everybody's any feelings when it comes to child support, but don't know what it is. Now this young lady, she calls me up and she was telling me about her case or whatever information, and I'm just like, hey, look, go grab this information, look it up, do your research on it. She basically sent me over some information that She was never served. They got her on default because that's like their number one go-to.
Of course.
It's a default. So when you don't answer some notice that they send to you, they automatically going to default you within
They
a
love
period of time.
defaults.
So that's like their biggest, that's their bread and butter. But once again, it's a part of a manipulation. It's a bigger scheme of everything, right? So in her situation, clearly she wasn't served. She was at one place. They said she was at another place, similar to yours, right? They signed it under penalty of perjury. She then proved that where she was at the time that this posted took place. She argued that point. The court or whatever basically was like, oh yeah, I hear you. Okay, cool. Well, child support said basically it's insufficient, even though you have evidence,
Insufficient.
but it's insufficient. So I told her straight up, stand on your square, stand on it, and keep pushing that particular piece, a document. Because once she found that and she got the confidence, once she got the information, she stood on it and she made them go right back to that document. And the court and the judge agreed that, you know what, she wasn't served correctly, wasn't served properly. Plus, she's the custodial parent.
Oh, come on now. So she's a custodial parent.
Absolutely.
So that means, so she's the sole.
Sole physical.
physical.
Paying child. They were trying to make her pay child support.
So
with
let me wrap my head around it. So you saying that this young lady was the sole custodial parent? That means the children resided with her only.
Everything. Yep.
And she was still being charged
almost
support?
18, almost north of $1,800 a month with her children that live with her. So you can see that it's a very predatory system. It does not care.
How can something like this even happen?
I mean, because the people that's dealing with that side of child support. I mean, if you don't know, you always said the best. Not knowing the law is not a legal defense.
Ignorance of the law is not
Straight up.
a legal defense. So child support works under presumption. What that means is they presume that you agree. So just say, for instance, they send you something in the mail. You get it or they don't get it back. We just said they don't get it back. They presume that you agree and you are volunteering into the program. Now they defaulted you. Now they can do whatever it is that they want.
That sounds
and
like
they
contract.
also, and the reason why I was asking, like, how can something like this happen is because they also work under something called prima facie hearings.
Yes.
So all of this innocent until proven guilty is bullshit.
Not in that
Not in that setting.
Not in that setting. And that's another thing too. I've learned that when we talk about the judicial system and we talk about the executive part of it, right? And the administrative part of it.
That's big.
We realize that, oh wait, so it's really, a company and they're pushing a particular marketing product to get to you. But what they technically, and the reason why they're getting away with it is because it's not judicial.
It's not there.
This is why they're getting away with it.
Administrative hearing.
It's administrative, so they don't really abide by the same types of things. But this is the thing. This is the catch-22. You have to understand, like, they don't abide by the same shit that you think that you're gonna walk in there and say what you can use under a judicial process. They're gonna be like, they hear you. Unfortunately, sir, you still have an obligation to. Right. They're still gonna hit you with that bullshit,
because
right?
child support is voluntary and you didn't come in there with the proper documents to not waive your rights, because child support is voluntary.
Wait. What?
Child support is voluntary.
Then how the hell they would? So if it's voluntary, that means people going down there signing up for this shit. That means everybody that's out there, you telling me y'all agree with this? You agree with the child support, $1,800, $200,000 a month? You agree with that? That's voluntary. I don't think nobody gonna volunteer that shit. That's crazy.
People enter into contracts all the time. There's written contract, there's verbal contracts, there's express contracts, there's implied contracts too.
Yes.
So like I was saying, they send you something in the mail.
You don't
You don't respond. Or they send you something in the mail and you
Do respond.
you actually show up without making something called a special appearance. You are recognizing their authority and granting them jurisdiction over you, because at that point, by you showing up, you are volunteering to participate in their program. So at that
Wow.
point, that's why they say you now have an obligation to participate in a voluntary program. How does that
Wow.
work?
Well, another comment. One of somebody also said that, because I think we did a live and we was talking about that. They also said, "Well, shit, if it's voluntary, can you unvolunteer? Can you unvolunteer something that's voluntary?" I mean, hey, yeah. I mean, I would think so. I mean, listen. There's a lot of people that's dealing with the child support system. We know that it wreaked havoc on people, suspending licenses, passports, garnish
levies,
bank
yeah.
levy, garnish wages. I want to touch on the DOJ, the DOJ situation, right?
Okay.
So anybody want to understand that the DOJ is Department of Justice.
Right.
Department of Justice released a document, multiple documents, but they also released a document which is the what?
The Dear Colleague letter. So in 2016, the Department of Justice released a Dear Colleague letter, which they sent to child support and the courts, telling them that the things that they're doing inside of these hearings are unlawful. Things like suspending people's license, suspending people's passport, incarcerating people. It tells them that it says you must not incarcerate a person for a fine or fee. You must give them a poverty hearing, a whole separate hearing to determine if they can even pay the amount that you're trying to put on them.
So once again, we're talking about the Department of Justice.
That's the highest. It don't get no higher than that.
They basically telling these people, like, look, we see what y'all doing over here in these lower courts. Y'all over here taking licenses, sending people to jail, doing all this stuff in these bottom courts. Like, hey, listen, y'all don't. Hey, listen, hey.
And they get away with it because they're like you said, they're administrative. These are not judicial hearings. This is an administrative process. I haven't been to school in a while, but to my understanding, you cannot be a part of the judicial and executive branch at the same time.
Wait. Separation of powers. Wait, hold on. So you telling me executive branch and administrative branch and
The judicial branch.
the judicial branch, they all can hang out? I mean, they all can be like, I can work in the judicial part, go over here with the administration part,
That's what they're doing.
and I can go be in the wait. They're doing that. They doing that? Because I could have sworn
Because they're saying
they can't do that.
They're saying they're a court when it's not. These are hearings.
These are hearings.
These
See,
are,
you hear
they
that?
can-
Look.
These are hearings. You can have this same process at your job. If you have 3
Hearing.
no calls, no shows, you can have this same hearing at your job.
It's
It
a
is not.
hearing.
It's not judicial. It's
So
a hearing.
That's right. But they
Because in my hearing, I demanded a trial by jury.
and they say, hell no. What you mean? This
We
ain't no
don't do
court.
no trial
Wait,
by-
wait.
So,
Oh.
what do you mean you don't do that here? Because again, at places where there's common law,
Right.
that goes back to due process, goes back to the Constitution, where there's common law, you are guaranteed the right to due process. So common law means something judicial. So if you don't participate, because the 7th Amendment of the Constitution says that for any controversy of $20 or more, you are guaranteed the right to a trial by jury.
Okay. And now that sounds great when it comes to from a judicial perspective, right?
Right.
Judicial, right?
Yeah.
So if these courts or whatever they want, these hearings, these administrative processes that they call it, they're conducting court in there.
Yeah.
So
So
they got the
Yeah.
robe, they got the bailiff, I mean that what do you mean? That's a court, right?
no, it's not. I proved this in my hearing. I proved it in my hearing.
Wow.
Like, it's fact.
Y'all hear that?
I proved it in my hearing.
This book right here.
Look,
Please,
So
I'm telling you, the book.
where's my camera? Look at me right here. You look at me in this book, How I Stopped Child Support Legally. in chapter 4, in my hearing, I discovered that I told you my case was not signed by a judge. I found out who it was, and it said Judge Pro Tem. That's a temporary judge. I said, this person is not a judge. They said, well, they're a judicial officer. I said, no, they're not. They continued the case for 1 week for me to provide evidence to show that that person was not judicial. So what do? I went to Los Angeles County Superior Court's website and pulled it up.
Oh, they're going to take that down.
Oh,
Oh, they're going to take
I
that
pulled
down.
it up.
Oh, wow.
They are not judicial officers.
It specifically says that in L.A. County, these judge pro tems, referees,
Friend of the courts, they are not
all
judicial
these-
officers.
Non-judicial officers.
They are not.
So
And
y'all have to understand what that means. Like, go look up this information.
Don't just take our word for it.
Don't take
Right.
the word for it. Just please go look up the information.
do your research. So now, in regards to finding out crucial information, so you're a one credit guy, so you deal with credit, right?
Credit.
So child support goes on people credit, right?
Oh, man, wow, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody can know that it's on your credit file.
And you discovered a document,
Oh, yes, I did.
an internal document
Yes.
that said something crucial.
Crucial. Very crucial. Go look it up.
It said that if you're watching this right now, if child support is reported on your credit report, that is a crime. It is fraud.
All this time, this has been reported on excuse me, Consumers Credit Report. And at this point, we know that that does not supposed to reflect any part on your consumer report. But yet they still do these practices and they still commit these types of violations in their policies, their procedures. So they're notorious for this type of shit, right? They're notorious for it, notorious. So I guess at the end of the day, you know, we give you information for you to go look it up, to do your homework.
Do your own research.
This ain't hey, you said the best.
Hey.
What is it? How do you say it?
Childsupportisfraud.com.
Wow.
But please, take care of these kids, man. Because this ain't no get out of jail free card. This is not Monopoly. This is real life. This is not, don't come here looking for no free pass to get out of taking care of your kids, because that ain't it.
No.
On the book cover, it says it right there in the corner. This ain't no get out of jail free card. Take care of your fucking kids. Let's be clear. Child support is fraud, but that does not mean you don't take care of your kids.
Because there's two separate situations there.
Right, because there's child support, which is Title 4D, dressed up, looking pretty, ready to go.
Ready to
but
go.
But when you turn the lights on at the end of the club, it's Title 4D, and that is a monster.
That's what it is.
So
yeah. But, you know, once again, you know, we deal with both sides. We deal with the credit side. We deal with more of the, you know, understanding of how what child support is and what it's not.
And what is not.
And we
yeah.
want to clear the air about that it's not, we're not talking about not taking care of your
Of course
children.
not. Of course
so
not.
Please don't get it fucked up.
Please.
Please don't. Because I know everybody want to do that.
Yeah, but it's marketing. That's why they call it child support.
Right.
Because it's like they don't want to be associated with child support because it's like you're a deadbeat. Deadbeat. And when we looked up the definition of deadbeat the other day, that said
that is powerful.
Deadbeat. I didn't even know that this was an actual word until the other day. We looked it up on live, and it said that deadbeat is one who persistently fails to pay their debt. So my child is a debt?
Whoa. Whoa.
My child is a debt?
Wow.
How is a debt?
Hey.
It gets real deep. It gets real deep. Hey, look, I just got sent a document today today.
Today.
This guy, great brother, he was born in 1981. On his child support document, it says that he has been in contempt of child support court since 1986.
On the next episode. On the next episode.
So
What?
he was 5 years old in contempt of court for not paying child support.
Wait, 80, 81, 82.
Use your fingers. He was born in 81.
5?
He was born in 81.
So you telling me he's 5 years old on child
A
support?
5-year-old was on child support. Stay
Wow.
tuned for the next
Wow.
episode because it's going down.
That's impossible. You can't prove that. You can't prove that. You can't prove that.
It's in my phone.
Oh, you can't prove it. Stay tuned.
It's in my phone. I got the receipts. I'm not finna get on here and tell you that I got the receipts.
Wow.
When we come back, it's gonna be on this big screen for you to
Gonna be
see
on
it.
the big screen. Gonna be on the big screen.
Hey,
So, yes.
once again, I'm TJ with the Scar. You can find me at Child Support is Fraud on Instagram or childsupportisfraud.com. We do consultations, classes, courses. You can get the book,
Yes.
master classes. This is my guy, 25 years plus,
Yes.
since junior high school.
One Credit Guy. You can find me on One Credit Guy. That's the word One Credit Guy on IG. I do consultations, business credit, build business credit, the whole nine, and Child Support is Fraud. These are the two platforms you can find us on. We love to share information, knowledge, but at the end of the day, we want y'all to do your research
Of course.
and apply the knowledge. That's the only other option you have out here if you want to be free from the tyranny. Shit. And we out. One Credit Guy. That's my guy over there, Child Support is Fraud.
Childsupportisfraud.com.
Let's go.
But please, take care of them kids, man. Because this ain't no get out of jail free card, my nigga.
Peace.
Peace.